Hola guys, and welcome. Today we're going to be doing something that I talked about a little while ago. It's been probably a week or two now since I posted about this. But this is basically I'm going to be going through a game. This is something that I've been looking at doing this particular game. I've been looking at playing this for a while, and I thought that I'd show you guys kind of my first impressions. Uh, you should be familiar with the idea. Basically, I'm going to go through, I'm going to see if there's a tutorial, go through that, then I'm going to play it for a bit, and then come back with a little bit more hopefully of a developed sense of what the game is about, and give you guys a bit better idea of what exactly is going on and whether or not I think it's worth playing. Uh, what my opinion is kind of irrelevant. It's more of a showcase of the game itself. So, as you can see, the game itself is called Strike Suit Zero, and as far as I can tell, based on the actual the pictures of the game and some game footage I've seen, it appears to be a mixture between space combat and a mecha of some kind. You switch to some sort of mobile suit type thing. So we're going to play through the game itself. We're just going to go to start game, I guess, for now. There's kind of a lot of options. There's Steam achievements, some sort of leaderboards that I haven't looked at. There is a couple of pieces of downloadable content, as well as there is actually the option for some mods, although they are fairly limited, just from the Steam Workshop store that I've seen so far. So let's take a look. Let's get into the game. Now, apparently, I have a couple extra missions unlocked. I'm not sure if that's normal. Not entirely sure, but let's start with mission number 1. It's possible someone on my computer may have touched the game already, but let's just start with number 1. Adams, you've been assigned to 17th Orbital Defense Platform. You'll need to undergo a flight assessment before you can return to duty. This sounds like a tutorial to me, and it does look like someone's touched the game before me. Wonderful. Okay, let's get started. Hopefully the audio is okay. I'm not sure. Oh, performance upgrade. Unlocked. Save the Proteus to unlock this upgrade. Be advised, defense teams have been transferred forward. Blah, blah, blah. Next. Let us start the mission. And apparently we only have one option currently. That's fine. It's a... I guess that's not bad. I haven't really seen anything else. Let's get started. Screw it. Let's just get to it. And we have some weapons. Apparently we can't change the weapons, we can just look at them and find out about them. So we have a light machine gun, and we have a small plasma gun, and we have a fighter, and some rockets. But without further ado, let's get started. Now I'll be quiet and we can watch this. Well, that was fairly quick. Alright, let's get started. Not bad. A station of some kind, some ships flying around. I actually don't mind the graphical aspect of things. Everything's kind of flat and metal. But that's kind of okay with me. I mean, for a space station, realistically, that's what it would look like. It would be big, flat pieces of metal put together all over the place, so I have no problem with that. The ships themselves, well, I haven't really seen a whole lot of them. But the ones that I do see, like that one in the bottom, oh my goodness. Whatever the heck that is in the background, I don't know, but I'm not sure I want to find out. Oh, there we go. We've got some strike fighters, I guess. Fairly small. I'm assuming they're strike fighters of some kind. Alright, so apparently we are going to inspect... Oh, we're flying. Well, I'm going to slow down first. I'm assuming S is slow down, W is forwards, and this is our objective. And the control scheme is a little bit different from what you would normally expect for a flying game, space sim game, where the Y-axis is not inverted. So when you go down, instead of it going up, it literally goes down. So it literally follows your mouse movements, which so far seems fairly intuitive, but most other games I've played, that's not intuitive. So we'll have to see how that goes. Let's get flying over here. Oop, not sure what I pressed there. Let's see.
Slow down while I let the active sensors run their scan. This is the UNE freighter Proteus. She's shipping out to supply a massive deep space operation.
Awesome.
Okay, Proteus, scan looks green. You're cleared for departure.
Copy that. Moving into full position.
Let's stay close and see her off.
Wow, that timing. Okay. Yeah, so if you're flying fast, you turn worth crap. If you're flying slow, you turn fairly quickly. A and D to roll. And in a turning, kind of turns into a barrel roll. Do a barrel roll, Fox. The heck is this red thing? Now it's blue. And what? Oh, it's some sort of warp gate, I guess. Am I supposed to go through?
Fold out to the weapons range. I'm uploading the location of the full.
Apparently not.
Since you're under evaluation, I want to see if you can get there before I do.
No, apparently we have thrusters. And top right, thrusters. And it has a bar. Wonderful. We also have armor, shield, and our weapons. And I wonder, just out of curiosity, we do. It's not actually that bad. By pressing C, we're able to switch over to our different camera mode, the cockpit, which actually isn't bad. I kind of like the cockpit angle already, other than the fact that it's a bit obstructed and kind of feels a bit tight in terms of what you're able to see and what you expect to be able to see. I mean, like, it is kind of the same information, like the information on the screen's roughly the same, but instead of seeing your whole ship, you're seeing from the inside. So to me, that's a bit weird, but let's try flying around like this for a bit. Oh, and here we go. R to target directly ahead, F to target the nearest ship, or thing, I guess. Nearest. Change the functionality with T. Holding T will reset the filter to objective. Objectives are always marked with little diamonds. Left mouse to fire guns. Red when you have a good shot. X to link the barrels. Oh, that'll be fun. Like 2 more damage, drain energy faster. That makes sense. Energy is displayed. Yeah. Okay, so this is our gun. If we press X, that's how it shoots. That makes sense to me. So we can use R to lock onto things. Take them out. Right mouse to lock on with missiles.
Remember, you can only carry limited amounts of rockets and missiles.
Not bad. And look from the outside. I don't know.
So far, so good. Let's head back to orbital 17.
I honestly say that it looks considerably better from the inside than it does from the outside, but it feels better flying already from the outside.
We got a visual command. 3 targets,
No.
colonial interceptors. Confirmed. Destroy
Now we
targets.
have some real targets. I guess they're from the colonies of some kind. I did watch the video. Basically, we're part of the...
Take them out.
We are part of the Earth Army. No, I want to switch to you guys. We are part of the Earth Army, which may not mean anything, but basically we're part of the Earth Army, and there are a few different colonies in different areas. Don't ask me why, I honestly don't know. Come on. There we go. And I guess the colonies are fighting Earth. I guess that's a thing. Alright, so this is fighting from the cockpit, which actually isn't all that bad. Other than the fact that it's a bit of a pain to follow them around. Works fairly well, I would say. Not bad so far.
We're clear. How on earth did they get this far in?
pushed one fold out. We are under attack.
I read you, Proteus. We're within range. Transmit your location.
Apparently folds are a measurement in this universe.
We're not going to hold out much longer.
Here's my buddy,
It's locked in. Let's go.
Reynolds. Let's get moving. Apparently we can fold without one of those big warp gates. Apparently they don't. Okay, and let's see what's going on here.
There's the Proteus, and a lot more interceptors.
Alright, so this time we're going to try fighting them from the outside and see if that makes any big... Oop. Left control to fire EMP for missiles. Short range. That's not a big deal.
Something about those interceptors.
Let's take out the missile interceptor.
Intercept us. Take them out.
Get closer to these guys. Oh, there we go. Oh. Oh. But a live one. Apparently we have a missile lock indicator on the screen, which is fine by me. Makes this considerably easier. Oh. That's interesting. That kind of turn thing. So it works fairly well, actually, from the outside as well. But, and it feels like you can see more from it. That could just be because I can see the ship, but it feels like you can see more, which is nice. But at the same point, I think honestly I prefer the actual cockpit point of view. It just feels a little bit more realistic. While obviously the game's not designed to be realistic, I don't know, I think I might just find this more fun, but we'll see. Alright, so I'm gonna leave this for here, guys. I'll finish off this fight, and then I guess I will... You know what?
Serious damage. We can't last much longer.
Yeah, we'll finish off this fight. And then... Oh, there we go. We'll finish off this fight, and then I will cut for now, and if I find out anything else, then I will try and let you know. But so far, the tutorial seems really well explained. They don't leave much to your imagination. They explain most of it except for how to switch to your cockpit, apparently. But everything else seems to be fairly well explained, if a little bit iffy on targeting and that sort of thing. But I'll let you guys know how that goes once we finish all these guys off. And after I've played with it for a bit and see if it seems to get any easier or any... Oh, I guess he's gone. Anyways, I'll be back in a bit, guys, once I've played around with this a bit more, and we'll see how it plays out. Hola, guys. Welcome back. Sorry about that. Welcome back. As you can see, we're sitting at a mission select screen for Strike Suit Zero. Now, I've been playing it for about... I want to say about an hour and a half to 2 hours now. Now, I don't know exactly how many missions there are, but I've played through about 6 or 7 of the levels so far. And I have to say, it's a lot of fun. The tutorial itself pretty much puts you in just a fighter craft, and about, I think it's level 3, you actually unlock the strike suit. Now, that may sound like just ridiculous, but basically, on mission 3, you unlock the strike suit, and at that point it actually becomes a little bit more interesting. Now, mission 3 itself isn't all that great, it's just kind of get in the suit and fly it around a bit. But mission 4 is actually one of the missions that I've enjoyed more so due to the way that everything handles with the suit itself, and the way that it actually is functional for showing off the suit and how its gameplay actually works. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go through a level just to show you guys exactly what the game is like once you've made it in a few levels, once you've unlocked a few things. Now, there are a few upgrades and things like that. For example, the energy upgrades, and so on and so forth. So you can pick the suits Now I do actually have access to just the Apex Fighter if I really wanted, but we're going to stick with the Strike Suit, because that just makes more sense. Now as you can see, we do have a few different upgrades here. I haven't really been aiming to unlock them, I've just been playing through the levels. But we're going to go to the next, and we're going to start the level shortly. Now, this level actually is played in what's called a nebula, and in this you don't have any way of locking on to enemies with missiles, basically. So, we have a couple different types of missiles. We have Missile Mark 1, which is just a single missile, short range, low damage, etc. Then we have the Swarm, which is again fast lock on, lots of them, but very short range. The other problem with those are, both of those are lock-on. So we have the Titan, the Bifur Pigum, BFR, PCM, whatever you want to say it. The Titan basically has long range, high capacity, and it does not require lock-on. So it's not very good against fighting fighters, as you can see here. You have to shoot way too many to be effective, but when fighting freighters and the like, it's really useful. Really useful. Now I can't change my machine gun still, that's still pretty much locked in. Oh, I lied. Apparently I can change one of them. Let's see. We're going to switch to this one. Anyways, we're going to go through a level here, and we're going to see how exactly the game plays. Take a look at it, and this way you guys will get to see and hear my opinion on things as we go through. Now what I figured out, balancing the camera like I mentioned before, for fighting, for actually flying the ship itself, if you know you're not near any of the capital ships, it's really, I find it better to be in the cockpit. I find that a little bit more immersive and a little bit more fun. When you're near a capital ship, though, it's really hard to judge where you are from the cockpit. You either end up running into things that you don't think you're going to hit, or you don't run into things you think you're going to hit, and it's kind of frustrating. So with that, I personally prefer to fly in the cockpit for most of it, except for when you're in the flight suit. You can switch to the cockpit from the flight suit, but the default is non-cockpit. So basically what's going on is we're setting a trap. We're going to get more and more large enemies fighting us in rapid succession. Yeah, see, just like that. As opposed to flying through something like this, it's very clear what you are going to hit, or fairly clear anyways. So it's a little bit easier to navigate this way, but I prefer flying like this. Now we need to find those fighters. Here we go. Now Flux is something that you guys won't have seen from last round, or last level that I was playing through. Basically, Flux is something that you build up by destroying things, whether it's... oh jeez. Whether it's... I just cannot get it to lock. Okay. It's stuff you get by either destroying ships or destroying fighters, destroying wreckage, doesn't really matter, but you destroy stuff. And you slowly build it up, and then you use the spacebar to switch over to, oh my goodness, you use the spacebar to switch to your strike suit. Now I'm going to build up most of the flux, just because that's the way I like to do this. I like to build up as much as possible before switching. Now when I did this initially, I was doing this with the, oh my, I was doing this with the actual small cannon versus the large cannon, or the medium cannon. I'm starting to think I should have left it on small cannon, but that's okay. Because the small cannon's a little bit better for dogfighting, whereas medium cannon's a bit better for actual large weapons. Now what I'm doing right now is I'm actually switching between two different main weapons that we have, not the missiles themselves, because I'm using two sets of the missiles that are exactly the same. So I have 160 of those. But what I've been using are the machine gun, which is really good for taking out their shields. Now the shield is their red. It'll be fairly difficult to see them. But their shields are the red. They go down fairly quickly with the machine gun, whereas with the actual cannons it can take a bit longer than you're used to. Now we have a couple of frigates, I think they said, coming in. Wait for the objectives. Nope, we have corvettes. Now we want to take those out as fast as possible. Now to quickly show off our wonderful, 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 wonderful strike suit. We're going to take out this guy. There we go. So that's the really fast way to take out. Now I'm going to switch back into this just so I can see what's going on. And there we go. So that's a fast way of taking out, well, a couple of things. Taking out the corvettes. Now there's another fairly easy way to take these guys out, and that's using the standard Titans that I was talking about before. Now with the medium, okay, our shields are taking a beating, but that's okay. This is fairly easy. In all honesty, it's fairly easy to deal with these guys. Whether you choose to use the actual strike suit. Now, the benefit about the strike suit is it actually gets all of its missiles and its weapon back every time you switch to it. So the 40 missiles that you see pop up under MTAM Circus, it gets them back. Now it can actually lock on out here. So, I want to show you guys exactly how this works. Trying to get over there first. You can lock on quite a number of them, which is quite fun actually. So you can do some serious damage to them. Alright, so we've taken out the corvettes. I've shown you guys kind of how the strike suit works, but we're going to move on to a couple of bigger enemies. We're going to move on to, I believe, their frigates next. Like I said, I've already done this mission, so I'm fairly familiar with how this mission plays out and how things work well. So they call them capital ships. Basically, they're frigates, is essentially what they are. Frigates are fairly large, and then there are actually a couple of capital ships, those larger ones, that are, in all honesty, they're only about roughly the size of half of one of ours. The Arcadia, rather, which is that big double ship that I was flying through, this one. Now, I really like this. Like, while the textures up close may not be all that great, the actual ships themselves are just amazing. Like, I just cannot get over the aesthetics of the ships in this game. Like, and the fact that you can, like, fly upside down, I mean, it's space and all, but it's just wonderful. Anyways, let's get to it. Alright. Now this is a heavy fighter, so this is going to be a bit more of a pain. These guys have better shields. Oh, there he is. I don't get too close to him here. Pop the shield. Actually, pair up our cannons, because why the heck not? Now, one thing that I like to do is actually to pair up the cannons themselves, because you do more damage that way. It can be useful if you can... trying to switch, there we go. If you get a chance like that where you can pair them up quickly, or you're comfortable popping them off one at a time, you can actually do some serious damage that way. Typically, though, it can be a bit of a pain to have to deal with. Again, like I said, I like to switch back and forth between the two. Typically, as I'm damaged, I switch out so I can see a bit more, and then I switch back in. Now, this is what I enjoy using the Strike Fighter for. Now, you can actually do some dashing, which is awesome, if you ask me. Alright. Now we're just gonna fly back here because I know what's coming next. So here come the frigates. Now the capital ships, frigates, they're all the same thing. They're just different sizes. So, basically what you have to do for this part is you actually have to target the individual turrets on the ship itself, which may not sound like a big deal. Except for the fact that they like to target you. Now, they don't seem to have locked onto me just yet. Sorry, so we're just out of range. Now, I know that there are actually, which is why I'm aiming here, these little red markers. They actually show where the different turrets and such are. Now, this is the fastest way to take these guys out. Just to target these. However, it can be a bit of a pain to try and accurately target them for extended periods of time, which is why I like to do that. Just kind of fly towards it, boost until I get to about 22,000 or about just out of range of where they would normally be, and then just kind of pick them off as we go. Just because otherwise it's kind of a pain to have to deal with these guys. Now you can, of course, do this in the strike suit. I personally find that the strike suit doesn't like to pick these as targets. As you can see, we're back to low shields, which is why we just flip over to the other side, boosting away. Now this is, I need to get back in range to see what I can actually target. Now you can actually tell what you're capable of targeting by the by what the actual icons are on them. Now this guy is one that I want to take out now. Now we're going to flip over, and I'm actually going to quickly switch over to the other side. Now we're going to hold left shift. Now this actually will lock you on the strike suit, which is nice. Now this is kind of I actually rather enjoy this. Now, I'm trying to lock onto the actual turrets and things, but there don't appear to be that many left. Like I said, typically the fastest way to take these guys out is using now once we drop it down to a certain level, kind of missed that. We can actually take them out ourselves. Where's the one I want? I believe it's this one. It's not the one that we want. This is the one that we want, I think. Or is it this one? I can't even tell anymore. Whatever. It's got low health. We're gonna leave it alone. Now, that's the one that's dead. Okay. Well, we're gonna take out some wreckage because why not? Now, like I said, that's the other thing. You can take out wreckage in order to increase your flux, but it is a bit of a pain to have to deal with. It does actually bug me that there isn't any good way of taking these things out. And by that I mean to say that there just isn't really a good option to use in terms of doing damage. Now, while they don't have a whole lot going for them in terms of actual, you know, what's the word? In terms of actual weapons now that we've taken them all out, they don't have a whole lot going for them. It's still not all that great for actually having to deal with them themselves. So we're just going to pick on our target here, and we're just going to whittle away at it. Ow, I should have flown through that. We'll just keep going back and forth. Now this part's a little bit boring, I will give you that. But that's okay. Now I don't think we can actually get the kill for this. Yeah, we usually get the assisted kill. But that's okay, because it gets really good just a few seconds.
That was close. Now, where the hell is Bowman?
And if you guys think that was interesting, just wait till you see this next part. This is why I like this mission.
Multiple enemy
Because if you think the normal capital ships are big,
two cruisers and support
these ones
stand a chance.
are even better.
Hold them off as long as you can. Focus on their attack teams.
Now, the first time I saw these things, I literally just suicided into the actual thing. Or into the side of the actual. Now, the biggest problem with this is the fact that we don't have any more. Ow, apparently I hit them. We don't have any more of our Titan rockets, and in all honesty, that's not a good thing. As you can see, it is nigh on impossible to get a good lock. So what we have to do is kind of fly around. It can be a bit of a pain getting close, pop this guy, take it out, and zip away. Is honestly one of the fastest and most efficient ways that I've seen so far in order to take this thing out without getting absolutely demolished. Now this is not the best method to deal with it. Just sitting around, of course. Oh, where am I? There we go. Alright, so let's flip past him. We're going to pick up. Now we need to build up some flux. Apparently all the fighter craft are where? The nearest is 4,000 away. Let's go help them out. So I want to build up some flux. Now this is something that we're not in any rush to do necessarily currently. Typically you do want to do this fairly quickly, of course. But for now, we're not in any rush. So, let's... Oh, that's not good. Okay. Now, in this mission, they actually start to learn how to... They actually know how to boost themselves, which is a bit annoying, to be honest. Okay, we're going to switch back to our beam cannon objective, and we're going to proceed to do our hit and run tactics again, where we flew past it. Now, the reason that we tend to skip past it, oopsie daisies, is simply because of the fact that this gives me the ability to actually get around behind it without any major mishaps. Now this part is going to be fun, because we're kind of coming from above. Now as you can see, it doesn't matter where you are. Typically, it can find you. Now that... Apparently, this is the one we were looking for? That's annoying. There we go. Alright, now we're gonna lock onto this. Wow, that was a bit of a fail.
Leaking atmosphere. Full
Alright, well, apparently we lost our good friend, the Arcadia. But, so that's a good example of what happens if you take too long. But, anyways, guys, that's kind of how this works. You can kind of switch back and forth. Now, I wasn't doing the greatest example of how to do that, but that's basically what you're looking to do. And that's basically what you can expect to do with this game. There's a lot of, from what I've seen, there are quite a few fights with capital ships, and they are fairly epic. I mean, like, you're kind of this one tiny ship. You are kind of like a prototype deal, but it is really interesting to actually fight these other larger ships and take them out. Now, of course, it is a group effort. You're not the one dealing all the damage, which is fairly realistic. I mean, you've got your capital ship pounding away at them, trying to take them out. But it is definitely interesting. I mean, like, once you get rid of those, just to tell you guys what happens, once you get rid of those 6 beam cannons, which I just somehow screwed up royally, once you get rid of all 6, we actually get about 5 or 6 capital ships of our own in the fight, and the Arcadia is pretty much safe from that point on. And from there, all you have to do is target those turrets on the ships endlessly for about 5-ish minutes. It's not as bad as it sounds, but basically you fly around and you're taking out fighters, you're switching back and forth between strike suit mode. It's a lot of fun. And I was hoping to show you guys that part of it, because that part's a lot of switching back and forth, a lot of camera changing, which is just me, the way I play. But I find it to be actually really interesting. I really enjoy the game, and I'm looking forward to getting through it in its entirety, playing through the entire game, finishing it, and possibly even going back through and even going through for some of the different achievements, because I like to try and achievement hunt a little bit, but we'll see about that. As for now, I think I'm going to leave it at that. If you have any other questions about the game or want to try it out, whatever, you can pick it up on Steam. I'll try and put a link in the description below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this type of content. If not, or if you have any suggestions, definitely let me know and I'll take them under advisement. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching. I've been Diego. See you next time.